Have you ever wondered why orchestras play the same centuries-old pieces year in and year out without updating their repertoire to include contemporary music in any meaningful way?
Have you ever listened to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony and thought, that's a nice piece of music, but how did it get so famous and pretty much anyone in the world can recognize it immediately?
Have you ever wondered, what are composers doing today, and could their music possibly stand up to the masters of the past?
If so, you'll definitely want to lend your ear to our podcast,
Measures of Progress.
Hello, I'm Emily.
I'm Kira.
And I'm Glenda.
We're all oboe players currently completing our master's degree together.
And we also play in an oboe trio together.
What we're hoping to do with this podcast is introduce you, our listeners, to historically famous and significant pieces of classical music and connect those pieces to music that is being composed today by real living people.
Every episode will be centered around a significant piece in what we call the classical music canon, which is the collection of music from the Baroque era, so the 17th century, onwards that we as a collective hive mind of audiences, composers, performers, and conductors have deemed worthy of eternal fame and glory. Some examples would be pieces like the William Tell Overture by Rossini, or The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky.
In the context of our podcast, we'll mainly be talking about pieces written for orchestra, since that's our area of expertise, but we may occasionally veer into the territory of opera or chamber music as well.
We'll do a deep dive into each piece that we talk about and unpack how they got to be so popular and well known by looking at the historical context in which they were composed, the life of the composer, and the structure of the piece itself.
We promise you're not signing up for a half-hour lecture every single week. We'll throw in fun facts, games, and clips of the music we're talking about to give you a nice, well-rounded audio experience.
At the end of each episode, we'll introduce you to a contemporary piece of music that we think has some of the same qualities as the piece from the canon that we've been focusing on that episode.
We want to help you to familiarize yourself with important pieces of music from the past that have shaped and continue to shape our careers as classical musicians, but we also think it's important to support our modern-day composers and advocate for the music of today. Otherwise, the entire world of classical music will probably fall into obscurity sooner rather than later, and we don't want that to happen.
And if the whole history lecture thing really isn't your vibe, we're also hoping to throw in an episode here and there where we interview performers and composers of classical music today and chat about music that has inspired them, or other topics we may find interesting. So stay tuned for that.
Find us wherever you get your podcasts. We hope you will come listen to us.